Everyone has a good story to tell, and you know it is a good story when the person leans in and says, "See, what had happened was," and then tells the story.
This podcast provides those opportunities to tell those types of stories in education. The stories will be from the good, the bad, and everything in between. We wanted to do this podcast to showcase stories in education and to give flowers to educators who deserve recognition for their excellence.
Our guests will feature parents, students, teachers, administrators, and just about anyone who is involved in education. These stories will inspire you, challenge you, and help you to reflect on your practice of education, whether it be from the inside of the classroom or outside.
If you have a good story to tell, we'd love to hear it. Email us at contact@andredoughty.org. We'd love to have you or your story on a future episode. See What Had Happened starts now. Welcome to See What Had Happened, where we hear stories in education from the good, the bad, and everything in between. We're your co-hosts, Danielle and Andre Daughty. If this is your first episode tuning in, welcome.
Absolutely.
If you've been a part of the family since season 1, welcome back.
What's up, homies?
We've missed you so.
Yes.
Hey, we're on all podcasting networks and on YouTube. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share it out to all of your friends.
And when we mean all of them. So we're talking Google, we're on it. Pandora,
We're on it.
Spotify,
We're
Apple,
there too.
all the places. We're on it. All you have to do is look for it. See what had happened. And I almost messed up. Did you see me almost say, yeah, but it's called See What Had Happened. So the reason why we ask you to look for it on there and then share and like it is because of the algorithms. It won't get noticed if no one ever clicks on it or subscribes to it. So the more you share it out, the more it'll bump up into people's feeds. And so educators will have a chance to actually see and watch and hear it and see what had happened. So do us a solid. Go ahead and share it out to your friends and your homies for us, please.
All right, today we have a very special guest joining in on the fun, Mrs. Dara Laws Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dara.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, we're doing well. How are you?
Great.
Great. A little snowed in Delaware, but we're okay.
Oh, that's right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hey, get some soup.
Yeah. It's on deck. It's on deck.
Awesome.
How much snow are you getting?
I am in the southern part of the state, and I have about 6 or 7 inches, and it got less, the higher up you go.
Oh, okay.
Wow. All right. Well, let's tell the people more about you. You are a 26-year educator from the great state of Delaware, as you mentioned.
Delaware. This is year 27. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my
Yes,
goodness. You've
Yes,
served
ma'am.
on numerous local, regional, and state committees, and you've been the teacher of the year in 2 different districts. Go ahead,
I
girl.
have. I have.
All right, Dara is an emeritus national faculty member of PBL Works and is presently the English 9 teacher and instructional coach at Early College High School at Delaware State University. Come on,
Go Hornets.
HBCU.
Go Hornets.
Okay.
Yeah.
While working on her doctorate. She's so smart, okay? Her doctorate in educational leadership. Dara is a proud Board of Education member for the Seaford School District. She's an alumna. And she is also the owner of Savage Educational Consulting. And, every episode we've had so far, we've had, of course, an AKA. Hey there, Soror.
Hello, my soul.
All right, please welcome Dara Laws Savage to the show.
Yes.
So good to have you.
Now, Dara is the type of person that you want to follow because she's just that smart. Witty, funny, you name it, she's got it. So tell us a little bit about who Dara is.
Well, Dara is an educator by trade. As you heard, 27 years, but I am a community awakener by choice. And I really, really take pride in that because in this area of Delaware, it's very rich in history, but a lot of that history is hidden. So I really take pride in awakening the community to different things that have gone on, that went on in the past, and things that we can do to continue our legacy in this area. That's one of the reasons I ran for school board. The there wasn't an active teacher on the school board. They were not teachers. And that was the format of my campaign, a teacher on the school board. Imagine that.
Yes.
So I was blessed enough to win and have been able to knock some things off my to-do list that I had that I wanted to get done while I've been on the school board. So, between that and school and the grandbabies and the husband, life is good. I cannot complain. Life is good.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so let's get into this story. Let's set it up. The story that you're sharing here, is this you as student, you as parent? Is this you as an administrator? Is this you as teacher? Go ahead and set up the story for us real quick.
Yes, it is me as all of those things, actually, in a sense. What had happened was I got an email from the president of Delaware State University, who is a friend since age 15. And he said, hey, there's a committee that I think you need to be on. And I didn't question it. I said, okay, just throw it in my calendar. And the committee was to write legislation to require that schools in Delaware, 6 through 12, K to 12, incorporate the Black experience in all content areas.
Whoa.
And when I saw that email, I said, absolutely. When is the first meeting? When are all the meetings? So I can put them on my calendar. I will not miss one. Whatever you need, you let me know. And that's how this whole huge thing got started. When I met with the sponsoring legislator, who is Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker from Wilmington, which is 2 hours from here. It's 2 hours north. But we actually were in undergrad together at the University of Delaware, and she is also our soror. And Andre, stop hating.
I'm sorry.
Always a hater.
I'm sorry. Just so many of you all. You're out there.
We're everywhere.
That's
we're
it.
everywhere.
That's it.
But she met with a group of people who were interested, some educators, some not. But the real interesting thing was there were kids there. And the students were actually the impetus for her writing the bill or wanting to write the bill, because they said, we feel left out at school. We don't feel like we are represented in the curriculum. And every time Black History Month comes or we talk about slavery, all the white kids look at us like this. And we hate it. We want to change it. And they were the reason that she decided to sponsor this bill.
I love how the kids lead the way.
Yes.
Where they're in the classrooms and they're like, wait a minute. You're giving everybody else's voice a platform, but not ours. And then they knew who to go to. Oh, that's amazing.
They did. They had actually already started to form an alliance of sorts. They formed the Delaware Black Student Coalition. And they started branching out. I mean, they were having chapters in different schools.
Come on, organization.
They were about it. And she helped them with that. And then when they said, you know what, we got to change what's going on in these classes. And through their different meetings, they were expressing an interest in sharing Black resilience, Black joy, Black excellence, and not just the struggle that we as a people have gone through throughout history. And once they met with her, it was on. And I mean, we wrote that thing.
Now, can you explain to our listeners when you say Black joy or Black excellence? Because oftentimes some people say, why it's got to be a colorist thing? Like, why you have to put a race associated to it? Why do people call it Black joy or Black excellence?
Because typically when you say Black history, you get the same folks. Nothing wrong with those folks. But those folks were often involved in struggle and conflict. And what the children wanted to express was more excellence like George Washington Carver, more excellence like Fannie Lou Hamer, more excellence like Ida B. Wells, people who have done things to move our people forward as a collective, instead of just the slave revolts, just Harriet Tubman, who is one of my sheroes. I love Harriet Tubman. Right. She came through here. She probably came through those woods right over there. But they wanted to tell the other side. And they wanted their friends and their peers who were not melanated to know those joys and those feats of excellence also.
Yeah, I do find it curious that there isn't much joy in the Black History programs. It's only the struggle part, and they sometimes don't get to see the successful part of it.
Right.
And so now when you see it on the timeline and you see the hashtags of Black Girl Magic or Black
Yes.
Joy or Black Love,
Yeah.
Black Excellence, a lot of those times it's just because you don't typically see that as the norm because it's not in those algorithms. So we
Exactly.
add those tags for those algorithms.
Exactly. I've been using the phrase changing the narrative of Black History Month to a celebration instead of just who did this, who fought this, who was a slave here.
Yeah.
Let's change the narrative to the Black celebration. And that's what we did with our English 9 project at the Early College High School, the Carter G. Woodson Awards, which was my first big project at that school, which was 7 years ago. And PBL Works, some of the writers actually liked the project so much they put it in a couple of books and blogs and things like that.
Say
But
more about that for everybody.
the Carter G. Woodson Awards is a research project. It's English 9, so we have to do research. But I did not want my babies to just research, something boring. I wanted them to do something that they could connect with. And at the time, the school was only in its second year, and we didn't have a Black History Month celebration. It was my first year there and our school leader's first year there. And I was telling her I was going to do research, but I kind of wanted to do it around Black History Month. And we started talking. And at the time, it was the Oscars So White issue with the Academy Awards. And Andre, that PBL fairy started twinkling and that dust started sprinkling. And I told my leader, I said, give me just a second. I need to go in my room for a minute. And I went in my room and I walked in that room and talked for about an hour. And when I came back, the Carter G. Woodson Awards were born. And it's now our school-wide Black History Month celebration. It is a full-out award show. Entertainment, speeches, guests coming in. I mean, the governor has been, the Secretary of Ed has been. It is amazing. And it's really like a rite of passage for the ninth graders. All the ninth graders have to do it before they go to English 10. And this is the first year I don't get to do it because I'm out of the country. I know.
And for our listeners, for context, can you explain why it's called the Carter G. Woodson Awards?
I sure can. Carter G. Woodson is the father of Black History Month. It started out as Negro History Week, and then in 1976, it became Black History Month, and he is the father of that. He started it way back when he saw that children didn't know a lot of the things that they should know. And now it is a global celebration. And that's my goal, is to change the narrative to make it more of a celebration.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of these awards that are given during the award ceremony? Because you got me hyped. Like you said, production.
I make the categories. I make them up. There's 7 categories. And then I assign the kids a category, but they get to pick whoever they want in the category. Social game changer, moguls and tycoons, literary giants, social game changer, the real MVP, of course, you got to have that. So I keep the categories pretty much the same. And then I randomly assign the children to categories. And I tell them, you can pick anybody from the end of slavery to 2010. I don't want Lil Uzi and all those folks in there. You have to have somebody that's researchable. And I mean, we do the whole 9 yards, plagiarism. It's basic research, but it's just framed around their nominee. And we create a Google form with all the nominees and I send it out to 45,000 people. Wow. So we get we've gotten votes from all over the world, and there's no more authentic audience. And they have no idea who wins until I say, and the winner is. Wow. They have no idea. They have to prepare a speech as their person. It's 1 minute. So everybody's
that's dope. Ready. Oh, that's dope.
Everybody's ready. They have to create an image gallery so that when I say their winner's name, their image gallery pops up on the screen. I mean, it's the real deal.
Wow.
And the kids get so into it. They're asking their friends, who's your person? And does your person know my person? I mean, and they get into it. And their parents share it out. Parents come. It's great. It's great. And now I have to pass it on to the next generation, because it's still my baby, but I can't do her anymore. I gotta let somebody else take her over.
I can imagine that kid sitting in the chair and going through kind of what Eddie Murphy went through when in Dreamgirls, when he's like, mine was real good. I might have a chance to win. And you're sitting there, and then it gives you the name or whoever the winner is, and then the gallery happens. Do you see some of the students ever getting frustrated that they didn't get picked?
Yes. I mean, I see both sides. I have seen kids who are not enjoying school try to sabotage themselves so they don't win. So it's the paper that they have to write, and then the votes. It's 50-50. So they really don't know. But I've seen kids say, I had Madam C.J. Walker. She should have won. She should have beat her. I mean, they get
controversy. It's controversy in the awards.
But they have to give that speech in front of the whole school. That's 500 people, and they are. And I'm standing right behind them, and I put my hands on their back. I say, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. You've practiced this speech. Come on. You better give it to me. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. They deliver every single time. It is great. I mean, the newspapers have been, it's just awesome. And that's why I say I am a community awakener by choice. I need to awaken these kids to the history and the greatness that they come from, because they don't always know. They hear bits and pieces, but it's my job to show them the greatness that they stem from so that they can then aspire to be great themselves.
Facts.
Way to go.
Yeah, there's so many times that we grow up only hearing one part of a story.
Exactly.
Like we've heard Martin Luther King Jr., we've heard Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, but there are so many other stories, even locally, that you just don't hear about, or you drive by the neighborhood and you never knew that was a Black-owned store, or that was a store that helped someone else, or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so, community awakener.
A community awakener. And I think that not just the Carter Awards, but during the social unrest after the murder of Mr. Floyd, I did a series of social media posts that were uncomfortable conversations. And I said, we have to have these conversations. Somebody's got to open the door. I'm going to open it. Here are the rules. You can say exactly what you want. Don't be offensive. Also, be ready to take the heat if you're going to step in the kitchen, because that's how you learn. And just so many people responded. And one of the people who responded the most was the director of the Seaford Historical Society. And he reached out to me. He said, listen, our museum is the nicest white museum you've ever seen in your life. There's no Black representation here except for one image of Harriet Tubman, and I need your help. And I said, absolutely. So we've been working to develop an exhibit about the African-American experience here in Seaford, because it's very, very rich. And some of the things he had no idea about, but it's things that I've heard all my life, and things that, our families have pictures of, and, things like that he was clueless to. So we're working to develop that exhibit, and hopefully it can move around the state once it's done in our museum too. So
that sounds familiar to the first time I met a teacher who had never heard of the Tulsa Massacre.
I was just thinking.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
And you just grow up your entire life not hearing about it because you're not a part of that bubble or that circle. And then once when you hear about it, or you saw it, like this teacher literally said, because it was from the HBO show The Watchmen, and that first 5-minute clip of that first episode actually showed the massacre in real life, of how it happened. And they were like, hey, Andre, is this real?
And I think for me, I think I was in high school before I first heard of this. And I'm like, I live in Oklahoma. And then when I got to college, I had friends who were from Tulsa who had not even heard about it.
Wow. That's so sad.
It is.
That's so sad.
Wow.
Ugh.
Yeah. That Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. Right?
Exactly.
Right around that area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of work to be done.
Lots of work.
The work continues. It continues.
It does. It does.
Some of the best educators in the world are people you've never heard of. They may not be on TV or get the National Teacher of the Year awards, but we want to give those teachers their flowers today. We know the sacrifice and the heavy lifting these educators go through daily. With that said, we present Sprout Outs.
All right, Dara, which educator would you like to sprout out this episode?
I would first like to sprout out a collective of educators, and that is the educators at the early college high school at Delaware State University. We are the only early college high school within 200 miles. Our students are doing phenomenally. They can earn college credits as well as high school credits, and I mean, we work them. By the time they get to their college classes, they are ready because of the phenomenal team of educators that I work with. Our last graduating class earned 2020 college credits before they graduated high school. And that's all because of the phenomenal educators that are in that place. So shout out early college, high school, Hornet Pride, catch it. They are phenomenal. So I just want to be sure to shout them out, sprout them out. And second is a former coworker. She was actually my director of secondary education. Her name is Dr. Shelley Holt. And she is the founder of Leadership Legacy Consulting. She is based in Michigan, but she is doing some phenomenal work. And she actually helped change the way that my mind works around data and assessment and moving kids forward. So I wanted to be sure to shout her and sprout her out as well.
Phenomenal. Sprout out to you all.
Here at See What Had Happened, we believe when one wins, we all win.
All win.
We want to help you win. So, Dara, how can others follow you on social media? Or is there anything else you'd like to plug? Plug it all.
Well, they can follow me on social media. They can follow my personal page, Dara Laws Savage, on Facebook. They can also follow Savage Educational Consulting on Facebook as well. I am on Twitter at Miss Dara Savage. And they can also follow me through the Early College High School page as well. Some of the things that we're working on right now, again, I already mentioned the exhibit with the Seafer Historical Society, and we're also working on broadening the horizons of the students on a more local level as well, with the different aspects of African American history that we have here in Seafer. So all you have to do is Google me and you will see where I am and you'll see my work. And if you have something to add or something to share or something to help lift the process, send me a message.
Yeah. And I know she's going to be humble here, but when I tell y'all you need her at your school with her consulting and her coaching and her teaching and her inspiring, you really need her at your school. Straight up.
I'll help anybody. I'm ready to do that heavy lifting to help us all get to the end goal, which is making sure these babies have a full, complete picture of history.
That's it.
So that they can feel represented.
We've reached the end of another episode of See What Had Happened. Make sure you connect with us on YouTube. And once again, on all of the platforms of the podcast, we're right there for you. Don't forget to join us on the next episode of
See What Had Happened.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcast.